Hey everyone, Mrhappy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mrhappy, aka Mrhappy Mondays, the weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. Don't have too much to talk about here at the start of the show. We do have a live letter coming up this Friday for Final Fantasy XIV, and that will mark a more regular return to the content that we normally produce on the channel. While we did put out a few other things that were actually quite well liked, and I appreciate those of you who checked out some of the other style videos we released last week. I still, of course, am going to be dedicating a lot of time to that. It's been great this last few weeks, just trying to woo-saw my way into waiting for the next major patch because, man, I feel I'm going stir crazy. I need something to do. I do have some creative juices flowing. You may see some other things pop up this week that have been of particular interest to me, but you know what? I'll pump the brakes a little bit and leave that for a surprise. But with that, let's get on to the questions. Thank you to our sponsors over on Patreon for supporting. They don't have to. All my content is available for free here on the YouTube, when I'm actually posting it, that is. So I doubly appreciate them because they really don't have to do it. Also, special shout out to our Patrons of Darkness. I guess Patrons of Light Darkness. They're just patrons of Eorze, Heideland. I don't even know anymore. Thank you to them because they go above and beyond. Kurenai and Khuja. Anyway, with that, let's see what questions you got for me this week. All right, hashtag Mrhappy Mondays. Good day, Mrhappy. A good day indeed. Hope you're doing well. Same to you. With the upcoming live letter, I have a simple three-part question. Must be, because it fits all in this one little box on the bottom. Has there ever been a live letter on April? Oh, how did I not even think? Oh, man. Yeah, no, actually, I think I remember bringing that up the other day. No, there hasn't. And let me read the other questions because they might be about this too. Were there any shenanigans as a result? No, because it's never happened. Do you expect any shenanigans? I don't think they'll do anything too crazy. I think they know we tune into the live letter for important stuff. So something small or maybe referencing something they post on the dev blog or the official forums. But I don't think they're going to take the time during what is supposed to be an actual update for the game to do anything too nutty. At the very least, maybe Foxclaw in an outfit or something. Or, no, yeah, see, all the things I can think of are bad or just ill-spirited, like, oh, Yoshida's retiring, or Foxclaw is stepping in as producer and director, or we've replaced Yoshi P with Yoko Taro or something like that. If they did anything, it would have to be like, oh, we're releasing this new product, and it would probably have to be in like the later half of the live letter. Yeah, no, I don't think they can do it without some people taking it a little too seriously and it kind of detracting from the rest of the things that we're hoping to hear from it. But I would be welcome to it, just I need to remember what day it is when I'm watching. All right, this one didn't have a hashtag, but I saw the word question as I was scrolling through, so that works for me. Hello, Happy. Bit of a comparative question. I thought it said, what's it called? Competitive for a second. The most recent WoW World first race, I saw Echo get there clear. That was pretty dope. Has been going on and actually went through 2 resets. Yeah, like 18, 19 days. A lot of bosses being seen as lose to mathematically impossible. This seems to be different from the harder fights of 14T or an upcoming Dragon Song where DPS numbers matter, but not as much as getting the mechanical dance. Chris says your opinion of 2 different styles. So let's be clear. It's not about, the DPS numbers mattering, but not that much. It's about the gear, because Final Fantasy XIV doesn't gate most of its content through gear. I will say Ultimate is actually gated by gear when it first comes out. You need to have cleared the most recent raid tier. You need to have all the best gear. You cannot be like slacking and like full crafted or anything like that. That is unacceptable for Ultimate. But the biggest difference, and I actually have a whole lot of thoughts on this. The biggest difference is what the devs expect out of you. They expect that for the past several months you've been playing and gearing up, and you'll go into this and you'll just focus on this. In World of Warcraft, you can take 2 different stances on it. Stance number 1 is that the devs don't design the content with the idea of it being zerged down for weeks on end when it first comes out. They design it so that, okay, we're going to make sure that the previous raid difficulty still has some value to these teams. We're going to make sure that we make these kind of tighter DPS checks and whatnot towards the top to make sure that we're not invalidating the entire previous difficulty for people who are stepping in until they've cleared it enough times, earned enough gear, and they don't see as much value going back to the old thing unless they're maybe working on a different class. And, that's a design philosophy that a lot of people really enjoy in an MMO. They want to hear, oh, that took 24 to 48 hours to, beat that first phase, or they want to hear about, it took 2 weeks for the first cleared half. For people who are not involved with the content, get this weird satisfaction about hearing stories like that. On the flip side, you have what would maybe deem the developers as irresponsible. They know, they may not design it with that in mind, but they know people are going to be doing this. And the perception of what those raids actually are changes a lot because of the fact that the Race to World First as an event actually exists, and all these different guilds and their sponsors are able to go at it as much as they can. It doesn't look like something now all of a sudden that is supposed to be taken at not a leisurely rate, but not again as playing 18, 19 days in a row. And bear in mind, this is the longest raid tier in a long, long time. I think Tomb of Sargeras was the previous longest raid tier. Well, I mean, talking about the modern era of World of Warcraft, not including, like the Knacks and the MCs of the OG days and things like that. So, yeah, but it's really down to perception, because they kind of know this is the meat, this is the core of the game. This is going to keep the people who want to do this type of content playing. And when those people want to play, they stream it. When they stream it, other people tend to be influenced to want to play, and the cycle keeps going. So there's just, it is just very much about how you feel about this. But I definitely prefer Final Fantasy XIV's method of gear not needing to be a thing, being able to focus on the challenge that's right in front of you, focus on the usual things, taking breaks, preparing meals, staying hydrated, getting up, moving your legs, but otherwise having this sole laser focus on the thing that's right in front of you and not stopping to do another fight because you were missing a body piece, or you needed a new hand token, or you needed to do splits or anything like that. I'm glad that's not the case, because I would not want to commit. In fact, I have in Final Fantasy XIV previously committed weeks and weeks and weeks to getting that first clear. The burnout is so real. The demotivation when things aren't moving fast enough becomes very, very real. And the thought of just being like, well, I guess we can't move it. At best we can just get consistent with the early phase, because we realistically cannot go any further with what we have. It's not a good feeling. So it's super down to an opinion piece for everybody. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hey, Happy. With 6.1 right around the corner, are you planning on doing a spoiler cast with Ethis? Feels like it's been too long since he's been on the show. That's because Ethis has been on hiatus. Ethis has spoken pretty publicly about it, if you actually head to his channel, about some of the real life woes that he has been dealing with in recent times. And he's taken a little bit of a step back to focus on himself. So, I know a lot of people feel like by reaching out to me, they can reach out to him because I'm this mediator. I am just as much giving him his space. I occasionally check in with him, tell him, I hope you're doing all right. I hope everything's going good. Just want to see how you are, to remind him that I am his friend and that he can talk to me. But other than that, I respect his space. I respect where he's at, and that he's making sure to take care of himself first and foremost. So until he wants to do a show, there will be no Ethis show. We will do spoiler casts. We will set Air Zivia to the side until he wants to return. Maybe we'll organize something with Moose. I haven't asked Moose if he wants to do anything of that sort, but maybe he would. So I've been keeping those options in mind, but especially I've learned this a lot as of the last couple months. The mental health is the most important health. So as long as you're taking care of that, it takes care of the people around you, and everything can fall in place from there. Hashtag Mr. Happy Monday. Oh, this is less than 8 hours ago. Hey, Haps, hope you're doing well. I have one simple question. You got it. Will we ever see a level squish? Well, I don't want to say no to that, but I think the reasonable answer is everything gets squished sooner or later. I think World of Warcraft set that precedent. I see no reason not to expect Final Fantasy XIV to set that precedent eventually, because as you say right here, seeing that number of levels is daunting. Even though the amount of time doesn't really change, seeing the amount of levels is especially daunting. But of course, people are also looking to see if they rework the progression overall, because doing 5 expansions worth of story is really the bigger wall as opposed to hitting a specific level. But I do think a level squish is in order at some point. I don't think it'll be next expansion. I think after 100 is where they would maybe draw the line there, but we don't know. That's just how I would interpret it. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Haps, how you doing? I'm doing all right. You doing all right? I'm doing all right. Hope you and your family are healthy and well. Doing all right. I got a question about Dragoon. Next expansion, would they give Dragoon a more dragon-like form? It's one of those things that there's no answer for. And I like to say this as a precedent for other people who ask questions like this. Saying will they or would they or can they, the answer is always yes, because they're the developers. They can determine what they do. But being able to sit here on a random Q&A with a few thousand people watching there's no way I could be an authority on something as specific as this, or even as opinionated as this. They can do whatever they want. Will they? Who knows? I don't think they'll ever do that. I think Blood and Life is as far as you're going to see. And honestly, I think Dragoon's probably going to get reworked next expansion. I think it's at that point where they are struggling to do anything with the job because it's so ingrained in its identity that they just have to keep piling something on, some other mechanic. Now they get 2 eyes every time they go through their 2 rotations, same 2 rotations they've had for 3 expansions now. So they're at a breaking point, I feel, where I don't know what else they could do, or everything they do has to just be barely a gameplay element on top of what's already there. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hey, Haps, how's it going? I'm doing all right. You doing all right? I'm doing all right. Any recommendations for making gil? I know you're not that big into crafting, so I'm curious what you do to make more money. Number 1 way to make gil is to stop spending gil. The biggest problem I see with people who don't have a lot of gil is they're constantly facing this urge to spend it. I want to glam for this. I want to glam for that. I want to buy this minion. I want to buy this mount. You know, I'd rather, you know, pay for this instead of crafting this. Or I don't want to level slowly. I don't want to level my crafter slowly, so I'm buying all the materials. And I'm someone who has just constantly played patiently for years and years and years. I play a lot, but I play patiently. So number 1, I don't spend a lot of gil. If I want something, now I have the gil to buy it whenever I want. I got 300 million plus gil for the past, you know, year or two. And then even before that, you know, 100 million, 200 million, et cetera, as I've built it up over time. So that's number 1. Stop buying everything. Like, be more responsible with the spending, because then the gil you have actually stays around. Number 2 is play more of the game. Like, this isn't a specific hint, but like, I do every content in the game, and if I see there's gil to be made in a type of content, I do that content, you know, just for other goals, but then the gil making is tangential to that. I'll give you a great example. The Bozjan Front. When Zadnor came out, I made 100 million gil that month just doing Zadnor, because I saw that I could sell the items that let you get actions. And I said, okay, well, this content is popping right now, so people are buying that right now. So let me, instead of just hoarding a bunch, hundreds, let me sell them as I get them. So that way, you know, I pull in 50K here, 150K there, 100K there, 300K there. And then I was also like, oh, there's mounts that I can get with the clusters. So let me also do some cluster farming. Okay, sell them out for 500K, 600K, 700K. And it just piles on and piles on. Eureka's the same, whether it be bun buns or selling the actions or selling the mounts that you get from the bun buns or selling stuff that comes from Baldesion Arsenal. Then I'll maybe do like the hunt. And the hunt, I get tomestones to sell crafting mats. I get materia. If I don't need it, I can sell that, you know. It just piles on from all this content that I'm doing because I don't need these things. I don't want these things. I've already played enough to get those things. And this doesn't require 1, 5, 10 hours. I mean, you can go do a few bun buns in Eureka and hopefully get a gold chest, throw 100,000 gil in your pocket, call it a day, maybe even get a mount or something to sell on top of that. Unreal. People don't want to do Unreal. So the mounts and the minions sell for like 6 to 10 million gil. I made like 50, 60 million gil. I haven't missed a single week of Unreal up till now. I might miss Unreal the week that Dragon Songs Reprise comes out, but that's about it. It's crazy. There's so much money lying around that has nothing to do with crafting, even nothing to do with gathering. And that's just make it like that. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Good day, Happy, and hello. Hope as all. Jesus, I can't read today. That life is going well for you and your family. Thank you, and same to you. So this may be more of an idea for a full video, but I was wondering what your overall thoughts. Yeah, I never released my story thoughts. I mean, we talked about it in State of the Realm, but there's a lot of videos I haven't gotten around to in the last few months. What do you think about it wrapping up in 6.0 as opposed to doing what they did in previous expansions? Maybe make the final trial for 6.3. On the flip side, it's interesting to have 5 patches content to build up next few story plots. No, I'm glad they did it all in 6.0. I can't imagine stretching out Endwalker any longer because there's already some spots that are kind of slow and are, you know, if they spread that out even further, you know, I could see some really, really bad in between patches if they were to do that. So for me, that's a big no. I think the way they did it, I can't imagine it have taken any longer, especially because we say that stretching it out, Endwalker until 6.3, stretching that out. Endwalker is 10 years of stretched storytelling of various levels of quality, whether it be a Realm Reborn's kind of stiff entry, you know, into the remake territory with Final Fantasy XIV that had to do all the groundwork that we appreciate more now, but definitely had more criticisms about in the past, to Heavensward being this huge surge with a few ups and downs in the lead up patches in between, leading into Stormblood as well. Then Stormblood, which is a fairly divisive one, where we have again more elements that are very relevant towards nowadays, but at the time, again, we were like, why is it, you know, this is taking too long, or that's taking too long, or this isn't paced well, or that character's not really growing the way we want them to. You see what I mean? Like, that's Endwalker is a dissection of all of that. So stretching it out 3 more patches just seems unnecessary in my mind. Hashtag Mr. Happy Monday. Hey, Haps. Hope you're doing well. Same to you. Wanted to ask which ultimate you would say for anyone is the easiest to learn. Oh, that's ooh. Without a shadow of a doubt, the answer to that is Ultima Weapon. I did a little research. People keep saying it's ooh. Absolutely. T is a whole can of worms. It absolutely is. And Ukab's gotten easier to learn, but it is still, you're forced to go through all the trios in the Bahamut phase, and there's no amount of overgearing gets you through that. That is a hard, you gotta learn it. But some of the other elements that are more challenging have eased over the years, especially with the release of Endwalker. But ooh, yeah, definitely Ultima Weapon Ultimate. It is without a shadow of a doubt the easiest ultimate. It's still an ultimate. You're gonna die, but it is the easiest of them. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hope you're doing well. Same to you. Do you think we'll ever get an ultimate based around the Alliance raids? I don't mean being 24. No. I figured that. So normally I would say no. Every ultimate prior to the Dragon Song's reprise, all of the encounters there were strictly 8-man encounters, or had some variant of 8-man encounter. You know, Ultima Weapon, obviously, those 3 primals have a 4-player version, but they also all have multiple 8-player versions. So there was no precedent with which to lay a prediction for this, even though the ideas made sense, like a Crystal Tower ultimate or a Shadows of Mach with a Diabolos ultimate at the end. You know, those all make sense. But now we no longer can follow that precedent. Dragon Song's Reprise first phase is made up of the 3 bosses from the vault. We've seen several screenshots of it. They redid those screenshots again in the latest live letter. And as such, and we even saw another one. And even in the second screenshot we saw that has Hraesvelgr, also only a 4-player boss. So, I mean, there's already 4 bosses that came from dungeons. So now we have a precedent to think they can use any dungeon boss, any raid boss. There's no reason to think they can't just use anything at this point. They might have saved 8-player bosses in the past for like easier development time, but for this, they clearly knew they couldn't just do that. So they will reach into whatever story and whatever sources they can. Now that's still a bit different than basing it on an Alliance raid. They have yet to do that. So what I'll tell you is this, like I tell everyone else, they're the developers. They can do whatever they want. Will they, based on precedent, is the only thing I can predict for you. The precedent up to this point says no. We're 4 ultimates in. They haven't touched the 24-mans. It's pretty much exclusively been the main expansion boss, like the 2.0, 3.0 boss, and then the raid series, the 8-player raid series. They did kind of combine trials into, you know, Ultima, but I mean, that's been it. They've only ever used those as sources, and Dragon Song's Reprise is no different, though this time following more of the final boss of Heavensward, which, you know, Dragon Song War, Nidhogg, Thornton, you know, some of the more important roles. So that's what we have to work with. Precedent says don't expect it, but it could change on a dime. So just pray and hope. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Dot, no longer part of the hashtag. Happy. That's fine. Hello, Happy. Hope this day is going well for you. Same to you. I have 2 very different questions, so I'll start with this one first. Last week, you mentioned making a brisket. Yeah, I did a slow corned beef brisket in my slow cooker. So it's very happy texting. Have you ever had authentic? I've only been to Texas once, and I was in I don't remember where PAX South was. San Antonio, I want to say. And I did a barbecue while I was there, but I've also had a lot of like different takes on Southern barbecue. The thing that's weird is in California, especially in Southern California, it seems like a lot of authentic style Southern cuisines also come to Southern California, much to people's surprise. I remember when I lived in San Diego, I think it was called Phil's Barbecue. And then, you know, it does the whole spiel about how the person came from like Texas or some other kind, you know, like there's tons of places like that. You know, some of the best fried chicken that I've had came from Howlin' Ray's in Chinatown, Los Angeles, where it literally, the Twitter only existed to tell you how long the line was, and most of the time the answer was over an hour. So, and I've taken people from the South who have had, you know, authentic Southern comfort food, fried chicken and all that. I've taken them there and they've died of joy because they couldn't even imagine it would taste that good. So authentic, I'm going to say no, even though I did have it when I went to San Antonio, because if I can't remember it specifically, then it couldn't have been as authentic as a Texan would want it to be for me. I would remember it. You know what I mean? But I have had places that claim to be authentic Southern or Texan barbecue. That was fantastic. And I do remember the names of those places. So I don't know. The answer is kind of a roundabout no, but I've still had some good experiences. The second question revolves around Disgaea. I don't know anything about Disgaea. So if your question is, could they make an MMO? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. So quick lightning round. The question before this asked if I thought Machinists would get like AoE air rank or AoE automaton skills. The answer is sure. There's no reason they couldn't, I suppose. They just have to rebalance a few things, but they've shown no propensity for it at this point. So until they do, you know, I'm going to say sure they could, but also probably not. As for the question in front of us, hashtag Mr. Happy Monday. Hola, longtime viewer, first time commenter. Welcome. I have a question about participating in Savage content. I have a feeling I have a very direct answer to this one. I tend to take pride in performing well at my job and role. I'm always striving to improve my gameplay and mechanical knowledge, constantly parsing myself and keeping tabs on my numbers. I've been running Pandemonium normal 1 to 4 times multiple daily to the point it's basically on autopilot. On average, I parse high purple. Always hitting 90 to 93. I've been really wanting to get in Savage. I don't know if groups can be strict with the skill level they allow in. So first of all, the party finder is very rarely strict. All they want is for you to match the prog point to the party finder you're actually joining, or to make your own party finder that explains what your prog point is, and then you let other people join. That is it. Now, I will say this. If you go into Savage and you are people think too much about how they perform in Savage and not enough about what gets you to performing well, and that's learning. There's nothing more frustrating in Party Finder and in a Savage group that's new and learning when somebody doesn't learn, or it feels like they're not putting in the effort to learn. Like, if you ever had somebody who's just been like, maybe some of y'all had a static where this has happened, where somebody dies to a mechanic and there's like an excuse instantly. And not a good one. Not like, I just, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Like a really honest, like, I just wasn't committed to that in that moment. But somebody who's like, oh, dude, I'm so sorry, man. I smoked a joint before raid began, or, man, I'm sorry. I looked over at my other monitor. Like some like really like, I'm not committed to this. Like, but instead of just saying they're not paying attention and just being honest, they're like trying to find some force in the universe that's to blame for them. And it just happens over and over and over and over. And then people who don't ask questions, people who don't try to learn, it's very evident when somebody isn't trying to learn, but they're trying to do the content. That, I don't care what your parse is. If you do that, that is what gets people upset. Not getting a gray, not getting a green, a yellow, a purple. I can tell you most party finders I'm in, people do not hit those numbers. That is an abnormality in the party finder for people to hit high parsing numbers, unless it's a parse group in particular. But what's frustrating is when people do not learn, do not ask questions, do not research, make no effort whatsoever, and then complain, because they always do. They always do. So don't be that person, and you'll be fine. Hashtag lightning round. Well, too bad, because I'm answering it here, because I didn't notice that was what the hashtag was until I started reading it. So that completely defeats, I think, what I said last week. Whatever. It's my show anyway. Hey, Mr. Happy. Hi. Since the Sprouts in Oakland carries Taylor ham pork roll, does it really? I guess I wouldn't go over the bridge just to go get Taylor ham. I don't think it's that good, but interesting. 2 New Jersey questions. 1, is it Taylor ham or pork roll? I don't care because it's food. Anyone who gets upset over the name of a food just needs to stop talking and eat the food, because it's the same food. So eat the damn food. And 2, what are your upper lower boundaries? Man, that actually is tough, because it's changed over the years. It used to be for me Trenton. Once you went south of Trenton, you were in southern New Jersey, but that was geographically speaking, it's kind of like centralized, even if it's more on the western side of the center of New Jersey. And New Jersey's western side in the middle is the crevice anyway. But over the years, after I went to school in Newark, which is not as far south, I started to consider like Newark and the Oranges to be kind of the middle, because once you go south past that, it does change a lot. I mean, that's going from like kind of rural outside of New York, New Jersey into industrial New Jersey into the reason it's called the Garden State, New Jersey. It literally goes through those 3 layers, and Newark is kind of that point where you hit it. But I guess you have to go past Newark and past the Oranges and past a few other. I'm gonna go with Trenton. For the sake of the answer, I'm gonna go with Trenton. I still think Trenton is the middle point, and once you go past that, that's when you really hit the far. Oh, you know what? No, I wouldn't say the Meadowlands, because the Meadowlands is it's definitely a smell that indicates you've changed the place you are. But no, yeah, definitely even further. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with Trenton. Oh, wow. Funny thing about that hashtag for the lightning round is that was actually the last question. Yeah, I've definitely had way lower frequency of questions because I have not been posting content as usual, especially for me, a very, very low amount of content for me in particular over the last however many, I guess, couple of months at this point. But I do appreciate everyone who, of course, asked their questions on the weekly. And there's a few things I do want to try out. And I just keep getting in my own way. And it sucks. It really, really does. Because I start writing scripts and I rehearse certain things. And then, the day comes and I end up wanting to take a nap in the afternoon. And I'm cooking, twice a day. And I end up just, I kind of almost create like a lack of time in a sense. And it's just something that, I need to get through. And maybe this week I already said last week I was going to, but then some things happened. And of course, when some things happen, but those things that happened actually led to, I guess a better moment, I suppose, towards the end of the week. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, all the same, that makes these a little bit easier to record, which is good for me since that's kind of my headspace right now. And with that, I am done for this week. Be sure to ask your questions in the comment section for next week's video. And of course, we'll have a live letter to mix in with those questions there. Be on the lookout. We will be doing a live letter live stream. We will indeed be doing a live letter overview. And we will, of course, be doing a State of the Realm on the live letter. We'll probably have, if April 12th prediction comes true for the patch, we'll probably have a patch note video next week. Next week, on the 8th, I suppose, with a State of the Realm that week. And then, of course, I'll be doing guides for all of 6.1 stuff and opinion pieces for stuff based on the live letter and the patch notes and 6.1. Plus, as I'm progressing through Ultimate, every time we make it to a new phase, every time we discover something, I'll of course be clipping that, posting it to YouTube so I can keep you guys up to date on our progress. And when we get the clear, then of course you got to see that as well. Anyway, with that, thank you for watching this video. I will see you all in the next one. Until then.